Coronation Street's Nick Tilsley made a devastating discovery tonight, as Sam Blakeman's psychosis escalated. The teenager has been struggling with his mental health for weeks, fearing that everyone is out to get him. In tonight's scenes on the ITV soap, Sam's inner turmoil finally came to light when he lashed out at Roy Cropper. Will things get better now that his family know the truth? Or will he continue to push away his close ones? The episode began with a jittery Sam being goaded by another vision of Roy, feeding into his paranoia. He headed over to the pub to keep an eye on Will Driscoll, who was playing a violent video game. This is all practice for him. He wants to kill you, said the vision of Roy, which prompted Sam to run away. A confused Will chased after Sam and followed him to Roy's rolls, where Sam locked himself in. Will and Leanne Battersby tried in vain to calm him down, before the Real Roy appeared from inside the cafe. As a terrified Sam questioned how he was seeing two versions of the same person, the vision convinced him that it was a trick performed by Will. He told Sam that the Real Roy was dangerous, and encouraged him to destroy him for his own safety. Meanwhile, Nick, Toya and Nina Lucas arrived on the scene, with the latter managing to unlock the door just as Sam attacked Roy. An injured Roy informed them of Sam's hallucinations before the teen rushed out, prompting a search party. It wasn't until the next morning that he was discovered, with Carla Connor Swain spotting him hiding in the precinct. She convinced him to stay put while she secretly contacted Nick. Sam tried to run away but his dad caught him, and it soon became clear just how much he'd been struggling with his mental health. Sam questioned if Nick was going to get him locked up, but the latter promised that he was merely taking him home. However, when they later pulled up outside of the hospital, a horrified Sam reluctantly let himself be ushered inside. In next week's episodes, a heartbroken Nick struggles to come to terms with his son's troubles, and lashes out at Ben Driscoll. He blames the Rover's landlord for Sam's suffering, telling him that he should have realized what groomer Megan Walsh was up to sooner. Later, Sam asks for a meeting with Roy, following his recent outburst in the cafe. Is he hoping to make amends with his friend, or could there be another reason for his requested visit? The rain over Weatherfield had a way of making everything feel heavier, like the sky itself was pressing down on the cobbles, squeezing secrets out of every brick and window. On this particular week, nothing felt heavier than what young Sam Blakeman had just discovered. And in true Coronation Street fashion, one revelation was never just a revelation, it was the start of a chain reaction no one saw coming. The discovery that changed everything. It began innocently enough. Sam had been looking for his school project notes in the flat, rifling through drawers while Nick tried to convince Leanne that everything was completely normal. But nothing on the street ever is. That's when Sam found it. A folded envelope, yellowed at the edges, tucked inside an old paperback book that clearly hadn't been touched in years. On the front, a name he didn't recognize. But what made his stomach twist wasn't the name, it was the handwriting. He knew it. Or at least he thought he did. Because in that shaky scrawl, there was something unmistakably connected to his past, and possibly to the father he thought he understood. At first, Sam didn't say anything. He just stared. Long enough for Nick to notice. "Everything all right, lad?" Nick asked, casually, not knowing his life was about to tilt off its axis. Sam hesitated. Then, quietly, "Who is this?" And he held up the envelope. A silence that spoke volumes. The room changed instantly. Leanne froze mid-step. Nick didn't answer right away. That was the first sign Sam had hit something real. Too real. Nick tried to laugh it off. Just an old letter. Nothing important. But Sam wasn't a child anymore. Not really. And he had learned something painful about adults, they only dismiss things when they're scared of them. So he pressed. And that's when Leanne took the envelope. She didn't open it at first. She didn't need to. Because she already knew what it was. A secret. One that had been buried for years, and one that was never meant to be found by Sam. But secrets in Weatherfield never stay buried for long. The past crawls back into the present. By the time the truth began to surface, it was already too late to stop the damage. The letter was from someone linked to Nick's past, someone who had once mattered more than anyone knew. Someone whose existence had been carefully erased from conversations, photographs, and memory alike. Sam, of course, wanted answers immediately. But adults don't always give answers when children need them most. Instead, they stall. They argue. They deflect. And in that silence, Sam's imagination did what it always did best: it filled in the gaps with worst-case scenarios. "If you're lying to me," Sam said eventually, voice trembling, "then what else don't I know?" That question hung in the air like smoke. Because none of them could honestly say nothing. Nick's breaking point. Later that night, Nick stood alone in the flat, staring at the same envelope Sam had found. He knew this moment would come eventually. But not like this. Not through Sam. The truth wasn't simple, it never was. It involved choices made years ago, decisions that seemed survivable at the time but had grown teeth in the dark. Leanne joined him quietly. "He deserves the truth," she said. Nick didn't look at her. "He's a child." "He's Sam," she corrected. "And he's already pieced part of it together." That was the thing about Sam. He noticed everything. The pauses. The glances. The inconsistencies. Nick finally sat down. "I didn't want it to touch him," he said. "Any of it." But it already had. Sam's investigation. The next day, Sam did something that surprised even him: he started looking for answers himself. Not in a reckless way. Not yet. But in the careful, analytical way he had learned from watching adults pretend everything was fine. He checked old messages. He listened to conversations he wasn't meant to hear. He even asked subtle questions at school, trying to connect dots no child should have to connect. And the more he learned, the more the picture shifted. It wasn't just about the letter anymore. It was about identity. About trust. About what happens when the foundation you stand on suddenly feels like it might not belong to you. By the time he returned home that evening, Sam wasn't just confused. He was distant. And Nick noticed immediately. A father and son on different sides of the truth. "You've been out all day," Nick said gently. Sam dropped his bag. "I needed to think." "About what?" Sam looked up. And for a moment, he wasn't a child speaking to his father. He was someone standing on the edge of something irreversible. "About whether I actually know you," he said. That hit harder than anything else. Leanne tried to step in, but Sam wasn't finished. "Everyone keeps acting like I'm not supposed to understand things," he said. "But I do. I understand enough." Nick swallowed. "Sam." "No," Sam cut in. "If there's something about me, something I don't know, I need to hear it. From you." The room fell silent again. But this time, silence didn't protect anyone. It exposed them. The truth begins to crack open. Nick finally spoke. Not everything. Not yet. But enough. Enough for Sam to realize that his life had layers he had never been told about. Enough to understand that adults sometimes choose silence not to protect children, but to protect themselves. And that distinction mattered. A lot. Sam didn't cry. That was the surprising part. Instead, he went very still. Like he was rearranging his entire understanding of the world in real time. "So what now?" he asked. Nick hesitated. "Now we fix it." But Sam shook his head. "You don't fix something by hiding it," he said quietly. "You fix it by telling the truth before it breaks everything." Weatherfield reacts. As always in Coronation Street, secrets never stay contained to one household. Within days, whispers spread. Leanne's tension at the cafe didn't go unnoticed. Nick's distracted behavior raised eyebrows. And Sam's sudden quietness became a topic of concern for those who knew him well. David noticed first. Then Maria. Then others, like pieces of a puzzle slowly clicking into place. And everyone had the same question. What had Sam discovered? But in Weatherfield, asking questions is never safe. Because answers come with consequences. A choice that can't be undone. The pressure finally reached its breaking point when Sam confronted Nick again. This time, he wasn't asking. He was deciding. I can't go back to pretending nothing's wrong, Sam said. So you need to choose. Either I know everything, or I don't trust anything. Nick realized then that this wasn't just about a letter anymore. It was about who Sam would become after this moment. A boy shaped by secrecy. Or a boy shaped by truth, no matter how painful. Leanne stepped forward. And for once, she didn't try to soften it. He deserves the truth, she said again. But this time, Nick nodded. Slowly. Because there was no other path left. What happens next? The next chapter in Weatherfield isn't about the secret anymore. It's about fallout. Because once Sam hears everything, nothing will return to how it was. Relationships will shift. Trust will fracture. And the street will do what it always does best, pull everyone into the orbit of one young boy's life-changing discovery. But the biggest question remains unanswered. When Sam finally knows the truth, will it bring him closer to Nick? Or push him further away than ever before? In Weatherfield, the answer is never simple. And it is never gentle. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.